Hey guys, welcome to my top 10 favorite movies of 2015 list. I did numbers 20 through 11 in a separate video. Link can be found in the description below. Please check that out first. If not, if you just wanted my top 10, well, here we go. Okay, now it's time for the top 10. Coming in at number 10 is Me and Earl, the Dying Girl. I read the book before I saw this movie, and I thought the book was really good. And the movie is phenomenal, and the movie is better than the book. The writer of the book also wrote the screenplay, and it shows because they capture the tone fantastically. But he also changed a lot, and every single change he made was for the better. The third act is immensely better in the movie than it is in the book. So if you read the book and you're like, oh, the third act kind of seemed a little weird, like I didn't, that's how I felt. The movie fixes every single flaw with it. The performances are great. The main character is he's really interesting. His whole philosophy on high school, and the protagonist is relatable. All the Be Kind Rewind scenes where they recreate old films are hilarious. The whole cast was great. The person that played the protagonist played Earl, played the dying girl. Just fantastic all around. The direction, I can't wait to see what this guy does next. This movie was one of the competing films to be best film at Sundance, and I can definitely see why. At number 9 is Alex Garland's directorial debut, Ex Machina. This is another movie that haunted me after I watched it. It's such a smart and intelligent movie on artificial intelligence, and at what point is stuff life? And the performances are great. You have Oscar Isaac. I always love Oscar Isaac. I love him everything he's been in, and this is one of his best roles. Domhnall Gleeson, I haven't really seen him in much before, but he was great. And same with Alicia Vikander. Alicia Vikander was a standout in every movie she's been in. She was great in Danish Girl. She was great in Man from U.N.C.L.E. But her best role was in Ex Machina this year. I feel like this is the one that she should get nominated for. She'll get nominated for Danish Girl, but I feel like this is her better performance. And you have some theories where a movie can go. It's only a few different ways a movie can go. So if you think all those out, then yes, one of your theories will be correct. But it doesn't go the expected route. And I really respect that, and it's a lot smarter than I expected going in. And number 8 is Spotlight. This stars Mark Ruffalo, Rachel McAdams, and Michael Keaton, and Liev Schneider, among other actors. This movie is basically the frontrunner at this point for Best Picture, and I can definitely see why. And I would probably agree with that. It's only my number 8, but if this movie wins Best Picture, I will be over the moon happy. It definitely deserves it. I love how it focuses on journalism, but also focuses on the scandal that they're trying to uncover during this film. And Mark Ruffalo, I think, should be nominated, if not win, for Best Supporting Actor. He was so good. Michael Keaton is the best lead actor. Rachel McAdams will be nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I think Tom McCarthy directed this, and his direction is fantastic. The movie is just nothing but talking and them getting closer to uncovering the scandal and being able to have sufficient evidence for it. And as they inch closer and they're on the phone, they're going and interviewing, and they're showing what journalism is actually like. I was riveted the entire time. And then at the end, when they showed the list of cities that this scandal has taken place in, I was horrified, and I actually teared up a bit, and I was like, this happened. And this is another movie that just haunted me for a few days, and I was like, that all happened. And I love how this movie doesn't play off these journalists as heroes. They're doing their job, and they want to get to the bottom of it. And this movie has very good reveals that work narratively, and the characters are all great, and the way they interact with each other. I want to see this movie again, and despite the very difficult subject matter to swallow, the movie's just so well made that it's worth seeing. Number 7 is The Hateful Eight, directed by Quentin Tarantino. I saw this at the 70mm roadshow that the Weinstein Company put on. My theater was lucky enough to get it, and I was like, hell yeah, I'm seeing a movie in 70mm. And it was quite the experience when the cameras kind of shaking the whole time, and it was this is kind of surreal. But I think I added to the experience for me. It was really cool seeing an overture and having an intermission. And it was really cool having it be just really gritty and not be crystal clear. And there was some projection. For most part, the projection worked great, but it wasn't crystal clear like it would be on digital. And it helps add to the rawness and the grittiness of the film. The first half of the film people have compared to a Hitchcock Western. I can definitely see that. Second half is more Quentin Tarantino, and the point in which it shifts from a Hitchcock Western Tarantino film, you will know it. And I was like, someone thought of this. And that's awesome. The action is great. Kurt Russell as the Hangman is fantastic. Samuel L. Jackson is probably my favorite role I've seen him in. If not, it's up there. He's so good in this movie. And for the most part, carries the load. I don't remember everyone else who's in the movie, but every single actor is great. All 8 of them. This is just a great movie, and you should definitely go see it because it's also just like a really cool time capsule. Because this is how you watch movies like in the 60s and stuff. You went and saw a Western, there would be an intermission, an overture. Oh, speaking of the overture, the score, oh my god, that theme song is great. I have it on my Spotify, I've listened to it a few times. Definitely go see The Hateful Eight if you haven't already. Number 6 is Straight Outta Compton. So I went into the movie being a fan of the NWA, but I didn't really know the story behind it. I just knew Straight Outta Compton album, I thought it was really good. And this movie captivated me from the first scene. As soon as, when the logo appeared, Straight Outta Compton, the scene that preceded it was breathtaking. It was like, this movie means business. It's not just going to be a movie where it's just them rapping and touring and having a good time. No, this movie tackles difficult subject matters and does it greatly. F. Gary Gray directs the hell out of this movie, and people have complained that the third act and the second half is worse than the first half, and I would say yes, it's worse. But does it make this a bad movie? By no means. And for me, the second half still really worked. And it did feel a bit long. I feel like you could cut out like 15 minutes and it would be an even better film. It would be higher up on my list. But I don't know what you would cut out. I feel like everything helped serve the story well. That all the actors that played Ice Cube and Dr. Dre and Eazy-E were great. O'Shea Jackson Jr. has a big career ahead of him. Same with, I forget his, Mitchell and whoever played Dr. Dre. They were great actors, and I really hope that they get more roles. I'm pretty sure they have, because they're going to be in Skull Island, I'm pretty sure. It's just a great movie. There's such an energy to it, and it was like, I know some people went to see it. I saw it like in like a theater, like 10 people, but I know some people that went to packed theaters, and like the energy in there was like similar to a concert. And when a movie can capture that feeling, that's just great. Now we're on the top 5, and for me, these 5 movies like sometimes just interchange my favorite movie of the year. But so I adore all these movies. Just right now, this is how I would list them out. Number 5 is Kingsman: The Secret Service. I actually saw it a year ago today, I think. I saw it like a month early at a press screening, and I still love it. I've seen it. Saw it 3 times in theaters, and I saw it 3 times at home. This movie is so effing good. Matthew Vaughn's probably my favorite director working today. I love Kick-Ass, I love First Class, and I love Kingsman: Secret Service. I think Kingsman's probably my favorite Matthew Vaughn film, actually. Taron Egerton, what a talented young actor. He carries this movie, but with the help of Colin Firth and Samuel L. Jackson, who are both fantastic. Colin Firth, I only knew him from The King's Speech, which I love that movie. But he was like, we can be an action star too? I also love just British culture and British people, so having this take place in Britain, and everyone had British accents, that was cool. The church scene is amazing. All the action itself is fantastic. The soundtrack is really good. Henry Jackman has a pretty good score for the film. I love when Mark Millar and Matthew Vaughn work together on films, because Mark Millar has a lot of really good ideas, but he sometimes putting them together is kind of weird. But Matthew Vaughn is great at like fixing it and making it just the best version that it could be. It's also great seeing Mark Hamill on the screen. Like, wow, like he was just like, oh shit, Mark Hamill's on screen. That's really cool. People complain about the final shot, and that is kind of a bit too much. But I feel it, as an homage to James Bond, I can see it working. And then there is like a mid-credits scene, like a minute after the credits. And that is, for me, the true ending of the movie. And what a way to go out. I get chills every time. I've actually cried in the credits of this movie because of the message that Matthew Vaughn put to his mom. I was like, oh wow, that's really touching, actually. I adore this film. Please go see it if you haven't already. I know it like swept over the internet back in February, but it really deserves to be even more popular. And I'm really hoping that this is also the start of R-rated action movies doing well in February, because Deadpool comes out in February, and hopefully it can capture the same box office magic that Kingsman did. Number 4 is Steve Jobs. This is the film written by Aaron Sorkin, directed by Danny Boyle, starring Kate Winslet, Michael Fassbender, and Seth Rogen. I love The Social Network. I think I saw it for the first time about a year and a half ago, and I've seen it about 13 times now. For whatever reason, I'm sure for many reasons, that movie, I adore it. I love most of all the writing of it from Aaron Sorkin. So when I heard he was doing a Steve Jobs movie, I was like, I'm in, because Aaron Sorkin's writing a movie. And I thought it was super cool how they shot it in 16mm, 35mm, and then digital. So the technology of the camera that they use also worked with the technology timeline that the film progressed through. And it's also so cool how I was told just in these, people was walking and just talking, and it was like half-hour long scenes of Steve Jobs talking to people. And yes, it's very fictional, and I don't care, it's a movie. It captivated me. And people who complain, yes, it's as if these people had a half hour to think of their responses, and it's like, that's how I like seeing people talk sometimes, because it's just like, it's like watching a rap battle, but just Aaron Sorkin arguments, and it's just, the writing is so good. When this movie was over, I just sat there in silence for minutes. I couldn't believe how good it was and how much I loved it. And so the only reason probably isn't even higher on this list because I only saw it once, because it went out of theaters in 2 weeks because no one saw the movie, and I want to see it so badly, so I'm hoping I can see it. Actually, I'm definitely going to see it when it comes out in Blu-ray. I'm very excited to see this movie again. The pacing, I felt like an hour long, and the movie was like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. But it went by like that. Definitely go see this movie. I'm so glad to see Michael Fassbender getting Oscar attention for this film. If he wins, I'm not going to complain, because he looks like nothing like Steve Jobs, but he embodied the man like no other. Coming in at number 3 on this list is Dope, starring Shamik Morris. It's my favorite coming-of-age story of the year. It just has such, similar to Kingsman, it has and Out of Compton, it has such an energy to it. And the pacing, this movie is fast-paced, which the soundtrack helps out a lot. Actually, I bought the soundtrack. I love the soundtrack. I've listened to it hundreds of times. It's really good. And the story is very inventive, in my opinion. I hadn't seen a movie like this before. And the way it's told, and the political stance they make at the end is very good. And I saw this movie like 4 times in theaters, and I've seen it twice at home. And I'm going to watch it probably again this month and the month after that. So much happens in this movie, it's insane. And the movie's not that long, really, at all. Like, if you were to just list all the plot events, you'd be like, oh, this movie's 2.5 hours. But it's like an hour and a half, because how fast it goes. And I like 90s culture a lot, so seeing 90s culture just take place in the current day was really cool, and I really liked, and the protagonist was really interesting, and his whole social dynamic was interesting, and also how his environment played into who he was, and I love Dope. Also, the scene number 2 on this list is Creed, directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan, and it's the resurrection of the Rocky franchise. Now, I've only seen Rocky and Creed at this point, and I loved both of them. And I actually think Creed's better than the first Rocky, but I saw the first Rocky a long time ago, so that's still like up in the air. But Creed is so good. Like, there are 2 fights in this film, and one that lasts multiple rounds. That's all done in one take, and the soundtrack, which ties into the hip-hop vibe that Philadelphia has, is so good, and it's really just like a love story to Philadelphia in ways, but it's also Sylvester Stallone doing all his best performance in a decade, maybe? It's been a long time since he's acted this well. He acted so well, he's going to get Best Supporting nomination at the Oscars, most likely. He's getting buzz, at least. Michael B. Jordan is a superstar in this business. Like, Fantastic Four could have ruined his career, but Creed is so good that people forgot Fantastic Four even existed already. Creed was that good. The final fight is just the definition of adrenaline. Like, I was shaking during that final fight because I had so much adrenaline. Like, this movie got me pumped up. I wanted to go do a 5-mile run after watching this movie. Ryan Coogler has become one of my favorite directors just off seeing this, and I'm going to watch Fruitvale Station. I can't wait for him to do Black Panther. Like, he's such a hot talent, and this movie not getting more Oscar attention in terms of being nominated for Best Picture and Best Director blows my mind, because he definitely should be, in my opinion. Like, what Ryan Coogler did with this franchise was just so good, and even if you haven't seen all the Rocky movies like I have, it holds up on its own. It's just a story about a guy trying to find his place in the world, and everyone can relate to that. Like, if you, for whatever reason, haven't seen Creed, it'll come out on Blu-ray in a few months. Or maybe it's still in theaters where you are. Go see Creed. It's so worth it. Now it's time for my number 1 film of 2015, which is also my number one most anticipated film going into the year of 2015. That's Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Now you might be like, oh, you're such a fanboy. Yeah, I am, guaranteed. I adore Star Wars. This is my favorite franchise ever. And to see a good Star Wars movie, not only a good Star Wars movie, but for me, my second favorite Star Wars movie. For me, it's Empire, The Force Awakens, A New Hope, Jedi. Prequels all suck. If you would have told me this would have compared to A New Hope, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have been like, as long as this movie's as good as Return of the Jedi, I would be over the moon. But I was out of this galaxy and one far, far away. I love this movie so much. I saw it 5 times the first week of release. I waited 10 hours in line, and it went by quickly because I was just so excited. I did Star Wars trivia online. I made great memories with friends waiting in line. Going after the movie, and after the movie, going to friends' houses and just talking about all the theories. I've listened to hours on hours of fan theories and podcasts, Star Wars podcasts, and I've gotten into the expanded universe, and I have Lost Stars is up there because I want to know more about the background of The Force Awakens and what happened. And just, this movie is so good. Thank you, J.J. Abrams. And the new cast, Daisy Ridley's great as Rey, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac's in another movie, and Poe Dameron might have been my favorite character in the film. He's only in it for like 20 minutes, but I don't care. Poe Dameron was just so charming, and I loved him. I almost bought a Disney Infinity figure, and I'm trying so hard not to buy that, because I know I'll blow so much money on Disney Infinity, but I just want a Poe Dameron figure so bad. And Kylo Ren, played by Adam Driver, is great. He might be my favorite Star Wars villain. Like, it's like Vader, Kylo Ren, but Kylo Ren's that close after one movie. He's so interesting. Harrison Ford coming back as Han Solo. He was great. I was expecting him just to run through the motions, but he actually tried. And it's like, that's Han Solo. Seeing Chewbacca and C-3PO and Princess Leia. And R2-D2 was great. BB-8 was just so much fun. Like, you know what? I'll give the thumbs up back to BB-8. This movie was a love story to Star Wars, and what people complain, yes, it's too similar to A New Hope. But for me, there was enough new there that I wasn't bothered by that. People are like, oh, there's a Star Killer base. I'm like, okay, as long as they don't do another Death Star, I'm not going to care. They do it for the third film. They're playing it safe. That's fine. People want this movie to take a risk, and I understand that, but that's what we'll get with Episode 8 with Rian Johnson. This movie was more of a reassurance that Disney knows what they're doing with their properties. So when Disney buys a property, we're not going to freak out. We're going to be happy because they're going to know what to do with it. This was my favorite theater experience, easily of the year. I saw it 5 times. I've cried multiple times watching this movie. I get goosebumps multiple times. Usually it takes like 2 or 3 viewings for me to get goosebumps in movies. I got like 6 goosebumps. My only complaint after the first viewing was that the score was lackluster. But now I can't even say that because the Resistance theme, Rey's theme, Kylo Ren's theme are all great. The Resistance, especially the Resistance theme. That's one of my favorite Star Wars tracks now, actually. Yes, there's no Duel of the Fates. So that's because John Williams in the prequels had to make the content so much better than it was. And he had to make these elaborate songs to distract you from what's going on, because Duel of the Fates is this amazing song, but it kind of distracts you from the fight because it's so good. The songs in here complement the material, because the material can stand on its own without the amazing score, but John Williams was able to make a score worthy of the film. If I had any other movie as number 1, I'd be lying. And I'm so happy to say Star Wars: Force Awakens. This is the best movie of 2015, in my opinion. And I can't wait for Rogue One. I can't wait to see Episode 8 with Rian Johnson. I can't wait for Episode 9 with Colin Trevorrow, because I'm sure Disney will be able to make the script great. And then Colin Trevorrow, I thought Jurassic World was really good. I had a great time with that film. The future of Star Wars is brighter than ever. And The Force Awakens is why we have faith in Disney. Is why we love movies in general. Like, oh my god, I love this movie so much. I just fanboyed. And I don't even care. This movie is great. If for whatever reason you haven't seen Star Wars: Force Awakens, go see it. It's amazing. Okay, well that's it for my top 20 movies of 2015. Tell me your list below. Tell me if there's any movies I missed that weren't on this list, whether you agreed or disagreed. I'll read all the comments. I love you all. Like the video and subscribe. My top 10 worst will be coming out soon, along with my top 10 or top 20 most anticipated. So I'm still deciding whether I'm going to do top 10, top 20 most anticipated. I love you all. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.